This is Jeff Mucci with RCR Wireless. We're in Western Virginia at the Sprint Executive Briefing Center, and today we're meeting with Magnus Friberg, who is President of the Americas for SmartTrust. Magnus, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Magnus, you've got a fascinating history. You're from Sweden, so tell us how a guy from Sweden ends up in America running the smart card business for SmartTrust.
Scholarship to go to school in the States. Met an American girl. Now I've been there 22 years. I think my skill set was I understood U.S. marketing or the U.S. or the North American markets. I've been involved with various European-based telecom companies, and it's been on the infrastructure side, the tower side, engineering services, and now with software, mobile device and SIM management software.
Can you speak louder, please? Thank you.
You spent time on the infrastructure side, and now you're on the SIM card side. What have been some of the biggest challenges making the transition from making equipment to making SIM cards and software?
I think being able to react fast. I think you see the amount of handsets that are coming out. It forces you to react very quickly.
Right.
Our changes are also rapidly changing. And then we see the change in the whole marketplace, what iPhone managed to do for us. And for us, we think it's a fantastic thing that this whole change, this whole transformation, it shows us that there's even a greater need for a seamless experience for the user. Now with all the apps that you have on your iPhone, the subscriber wants that to work every day, everywhere, whether it's in the States, Canada, Europe, and such. And that puts pressure on the operators. That means that they need to make sure that that device is correctly configured day one.
Right.
The files and the software needs to be updated over time.
Right.
And then when you go abroad, that you can roam, you get the connectivity that you need. So quite interesting.
Could you compare and contrast the consumer's demand for seamless installations to what enterprise customers need, or are they simply the same?
I think they're coming closer and closer to being the same. I mean, on the enterprise side, obviously, the connectivity to make sure that your email is always working. And we saw that with BlackBerry, but now we see with iPhone, I think the average consumer expects the same. So.
And last year, SmartTrust was acquired by G&D.
That's correct.
Why do you think they made that investment, and how has the company changed since the investment occurred?
So we've had a 10-year partnership with G&D. So
Okay.
G&D is one of the largest SIM card manufacturers, and we make the software to manage the SIM card. So we've been involved in various projects, and it was just a natural evolution. The management of the files in the SIM card is going to become even more important as we get involved with NFC or near field proximity. With these applications, you need to provide the operators with an all-in solution. It's not just the hardware, the SIM card, but then the actual server products to manage those SIM cards. And for G&D, it was a step they wanted to move up in the value chain. And since we had a close relationship, it made sense, and here we are, and we're quite excited to be a part of the G&D group. It's a company that's been around for almost 160 years, great technology know-how, and this is something that we can tap into for NFC, for machine-to-machine, and then being able to provide a all-in solution to our various wireless operator customers.
Okay. So expand on the core SmartTrust business before the acquisition.
So we pioneered SIM OTA, or over-the-air management of SIM cards. We started in the early 90s with doing personalization of SIM cards. Pioneered OTA, giving the operators the ability to update and change files on that SIM card over the air. Then this has evolved into, obviously, a lot of the operators have grown, so now you talk about high available platforms, geographic redundant platforms, being able to roam seamlessly, then adding to that device management. Not just configure and start the SIM card, but then it's also make sure that the device is correctly configured. Such as your phone, that when you put in that SIM card in that phone, we need to detect, okay, it's a new SIM card in a new phone. What kind of phone is it?
Yep.
Okay, and then match up your profile. Okay, Jeff has the following, then we need to enable the following applications on that device. And that's nothing, I don't think a wireless operator wants a consumer to have to call into the call center to have an issue about this. I mean, we had something, we call it the golden hour. Within the first 60 minutes, that has to be seamless, or you're going to have a negative brand connotation with that wireless operator. So it's not just in the beginning, but then over time. You might change the device, then we start over. You might go on vacation abroad. Well, you want to make sure that you get your email. You want to make sure that you can do certain applications. Then it's about matching your profile with the right roaming partner. It could be a strong roaming partner for voice. It could be different for you, Jeff, with your iPhone. Then you want a roaming partner that has a good data plan so that you can maintain that connectivity.
Interesting. I've heard a lot of people talk about over-the-air, but I really don't understand the benefits of over-the-air upgrades versus syncing upgrades. Could you expand upon or compare and contrast the two ways that carriers can update a device?
Sure. Let's say roaming list. So there has to be a roaming list on each SIM card,
Right.
for when the subscribers go through. That changes over time. If you would have to take every phone in and tether it to change that, I think you would have some serious customer complaints. It will also be very difficult. Instead of doing it that way, the old-fashioned way. So today, if you buy a store, absolutely, you can tether the device and get it going. But after that, I think the expectation is, I shouldn't have to do that. It should be wireless. So what the wireless operators do today, they do big batch campaigns in the middle of the night. They update millions of SIM cards at the same time. So it's very short, quick, and that's why they can then control their subscribers better. And I think for the operator, the SIM card is a very strategic asset, because it is that device or that part of an asset that is with the subscriber that they can control 100%. So it's extremely important for them to control that, make sure they have the right files to ensure that seamless experience for the user.
How do you envision carriers using the SIM card and the applications that come along with the SIM card? How do you see the carriers taking back control of their customers from an Apple or a Google going forward?
The next generation SIM card will have something called Smart Card Web Server. So basically you have a server product on that SIM card. So when you turn on your iPhone, instead of having maybe the Apple icon, it could be the brand name of that operator. So you can drive more from the SIM card. It's not used from the device. You also have device management platforms where you can do application management so that the operator can create their own app store and then take that control back. And I think if we go into mobile banking or mobile payment, I think then the SIM card will be even more important, because it's a secure element. It's the only thing with the subscriber that's 100% tamper-proof. But then when you turn that device into a mobile wallet, the heart of that is the SIM card. And then over the air, through OTA, you then will be able to turn on your Wachovia application, your Bank of America application. Maybe it's your token for the transit with the subway. Maybe it's something with CVS because you have certain coupons. All that will be driven from the SIM card. So I think any kind of proximity payment or application, the SIM card is going to be important, and it's also a means for the operator to regain that control.
Interesting. Today, my understanding, you can do over-the-air by way of SMS, and I think SmartTrust and G&D have come up with some other ways that are actually more efficient for the carriers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So SMS is the standard bearer.
Right.
But you have something called BIP, or Bearer Independent Protocol, that gives you the ability to use any kind of means. And as we're evolving towards 4G or LTE, we will go to an IP-based protocol.
Right.
So it will open it up so that they don't just have to go and SMS. Because that could be costly, it could choke down the operator, but then you have means if you want to go GPRS or full IP. So it gives them a lot of flexibility in the future.
Could you compare and contrast within the Americas region some of the things that are, how some countries are progressing faster than others relative to smart card and application adoption?
So the first difference that we see is when we go to Latin America, the majority of the subscribers are prepaid versus postpaid up here in North America. When we go into the prepaid market, then the portability of the SIM card is much, much more important. So they can have that SIM card and move it from device to device. And with the portability of the SIM card, they want to use more applications or value-added services from the actual SIM card itself. And it's actually got to the point where you have some operators in South America, they're not selling devices anymore. So when you become a new subscriber with them, the only thing you do is you get a SIM card. So it's a big change.
Magnus, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.